Hello. Today we're just hoping you could tell us your name and a little bit about what you're passionate about.
Yeah, so my name's Rowan. My passion is music.
Okay. In what uh, in what area of music?
I grew up listening to a lot of like rock and country, mostly like all rock stuff from my mom or my dad, and then country was like on my mom's side, so I kind of grew up in a lot of both. I wasn't really interested in music at first, up until like 2012, give or take. So it took kind of a couple of years for me to really get into it and get really inspired.
Okay. Do you have a specific goal in mind with music?
I have a few. I want to do self-production. Audio engineering is a goal that I want to achieve with it. So I've got software and pro audio editing equipment and whatnot for recording, mixing, and mastering. So I want to start by kind of recording myself and maybe some other people and kind of helping them out with their own projects. On top of that, I've thought about creating my own label after going to probably, internship for another label company or something to kind of gain experience for myself.
Okay. So those sound more short-term goals for the time being.
Kind of short-term, just because I would like to focus on kind of like my own thing, potentially with cakes and candles at one point, like, to start up our own record label and, reach out to other artists and just kind of have like that brand there, and that's like a solid goal for the long term.
Okay. As of right now, what are you doing to further pursue your goals?
I'm in school right now for audio production, audio engineering. So I'm learning how to record and use the software and all the equipment properly and how to set it all up. It's just started about 2 weeks ago, so I've been in school for it for like 4 months, but I just officially started my program.
Okay, let's say you wake up tomorrow. What is it that gets you passionate about the music?
I don't know, man. It's like it keeps me going. Like, it's just like when I'm ever feeling down or like depressed, like I go listen to my favorite song or my favorite artist, and it's like it could be any sad song regardless if I'm already sad or not, and like it makes you feel better, and it just like it gets me pumped up, and it's like when I listen to music I get chills, and like that's my thing. It's what I want to do. Like, I'm not really too sure how to express it, but it's what I love.
Do you have what you would say a group of people who keep you motivated and help you along the way, or do you find yourself just mostly being...
There's several things. Being a several group of artists where, like, not necessarily a group, but like, just like multiple artists that I look up to and that have inspired me, and I just kind of look at them and I'm like, you know what, I want to be like them someday, and it keeps me going. And it's like, the way I view it is like, there's always going to be someone better than me at what I'm trying to do, and the best I can do from that is learn from it to better myself to get where they're at.
So it kind of sounds like you never want to plateau. You always want to have another goal after you meet each individual goal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's like I don't want to just like this is something where it's like really hard to lose your passion. Like, I mean, like, even if something is your passion, like eventually like everyone goes through a slump where you won't be as motivated and you just don't feel like doing what you love at a certain time, but you get over that and it's like, oh crap, like I'm gonna do this and make a thing, and then you make the thing, and it's like, wow, I did that, and you're super proud of it. And it's like you can use like your past experiences and projects to kind of motivate you and inspire you to kind of keep going and make it better.
Okay. Let's say best case scenario, 5 years from now, where are you?
I'm a fucking rock star.
Yeah?
Yep.
Okay.
I have one. Now, you say when you sometimes get sad, you go and find whatever sad song that gets you out. Not saying you're sad or whatever, but what would be one of your go-tos as far as music, whether
like artist-wise or just
artist-wise or even just in general? Like, what would be your go-to?
Honestly, like, it depends on the mood, but it's like most of the time I'll go into this mood of listening to kind of like the same group of songs, and like they'd be completely different styles. Like, for example, there's this guy I recently discovered. His name is Corey Wells. He just came out with an EP of like 5 songs, and one of the more popular one is called "End of a Good Thing," and it's like a sad kind of acoustic thing. Like it's sad acoustic poppy like kind of vibe, and then from there I'll jump to something like super upbeat and like heavy sounding, and it's there's this other band called Currents, and they're more of like metalcore, like really fast, like, you know, heavy guitars, you know, fast-paced drums and like heavy vocals, and it's like it gets me pumped, you know, as compared to just like listening to something that's soft and acoustic. It's like that's the kind of stuff I'm listening to when I want to be relaxed or like.
Now, do you ever see yourself going through like waves, like channels just in one, like let's say, because I know with myself, I'll find myself going through like waves, like where I'll listen to sadder songs and then happier, upbeat songs,
definitely,
and it'll just be in one session.
Yeah, definitely. Like for an example, when I discovered this guy Corey Wells, I just straight listened to all of his stuff, and it's like all the kind of same genre, so it's like all kind of like sad sounding and like slower, and it's kind of cool because like you can go from that back to what you're listening to. At least in my case I can, where I can go from straight like metal or rock to like something like super poppy and just sad sounding, or like even hip hop or rap. Like, you know, I'm not, despite my background, I still appreciate every type of genre, and I can like if there's a song and I like it enough, I'm gonna not skip over it, you know.
Right, just because of the genre.
Or the artist or whatever. If it's a song, it's a song, and it's like I like that song, despite the artist. And kind of interesting thing is like, you know, like how artists, they can do something really fucked up and people will lose disrespect for them. There's a difference where you can appreciate an artist for their music but still dislike that artist as a person.
Right, which is happening more prevalently in this day and age.
Of course.
Does that ever upset you, especially if it happened to maybe one of the artists that you liked?
So funny you say that. So there's a band that really influenced me, like when I got into music originally, As I Lay Dying. So I don't know if you guys know the story, but the vocalist Tim Lambesis basically plotted to murder his ex-wife by hiring a hitman, got caught for it, was imprisoned for 6 years and on probation. So that's long story short. And you know, they were one of the biggest metal bands in their genre at the time, and they were like, their career was just, it was spiking up until this happened. They disbanded for the last 6 years. The members went off to create another band called Woven War. And eventually when Tim got out of prison, he released an apologizing statement, and everyone went nuts, like, no, you're a piece of shit, like, you don't deserve to make music anymore, like, blah blah blah, like, whatever, and like people just stopped listening to the music. And then fast forward to about a month ago, the band came back and they released the new single, and a bunch of people were torn because it's like, oh shit, like this is legitimate new music from a band that people lost so much respect for, and came back, was like, oh wow, like I really like the song, but I hate Tim Lambesis. Like it's that kind of thing. And it's like me as a person, like, I started posting about it on social media, and I was getting backlash for it because people were like, oh, how could you support such a terrible person? And I'm like, I'm not supporting him. I'm supporting his music. And, like, you'll have people where they'll be like, oh, I want nothing to do with him, and they won't even support his music because they don't want to acknowledge that they appreciate or like the music he originally created before what
actually happened, yeah.
Because, like, it's all hypocritical because in the end it's like they still appreciate it, but they choose not to.
Right. They just don't want to be the ones caught up in being the ones appreciating it.
Yeah,
because of the fact
exactly.
That it's like, then it turns on to them. It's like, well, what kind of person are you to appreciate somebody who's done something so heinous?
Yeah, exactly. And then, like, they're the ones giving that backlash to other people.
Right.
So
right.
it's a very, very toxic cycle. But it's like you kind of learn to overcome that by taking an artist, acknowledging what they did, and to an extent, you can forgive them in some cases, and give them another chance to better themselves and be a better person, while still appreciating their music.
Right.
And that's kind of where I view with most artists, depending on the situation.
Right.
And with this particular situation, I see it as like, if he wasn't really trying to change as a person, his bandmates would not have gone back to play music with him again.
Which that's a pretty fair point.
Yeah, because they're the ones that cut off contact with him
in the first place.
Yeah.
So if they can come to grips and actually, forgive him for what he's done,
then
why can't everybody else?
And he was the one that came back to apologize.
So. Why can't everybody else?
So
it's touchy.
It is very, very, very touchy.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting. Just, it really depends on one person's perspective with it.
So we'll just kind of wrap it up here. Final thoughts. If you had one thing that you wanted to maybe portray to an audience that maybe is not so much into your brand of music, whether it be metal or rock or what have you, what would you say to maybe influence them to maybe give it a shot or maybe actually get more involved in it?
Start with something classic, for sure. If you're looking to branch out your music, you could probably get away with starting off with some very light, like Iron Maiden, like bigger names, Ozzy Osbourne. It's always easier to start off with like mainstream, bigger artists, and then branch your way out to like lesser known artists from there. Because there's just so much out there, and just kind of what I do when I'm looking for new artists is I just literally go on YouTube and look at the recommended songs until like get somewhere where I'm like, wow, I didn't expect to get here.
Right.
And like I'll spend like a good hour or two doing that, just checking out new music on YouTube from bands I've never heard of or artists I've never heard of before. And that's how I found this dude Corey Wells that I was talking about earlier. It's like, it was just kind of randomly going off of what I found on YouTube. So yeah.
Any final thoughts, questions, concerns?
No. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, I believe the audience is more informed. Yeah. It's Cakes and Candles signing off.
And crickets.
Yes, sir.